Hello and welcome to I Want to Grow, and I Want to Grow is all about that, right? It's about our growth. And it is about our growth, but with our guests, it's a little bit different. They want to help others grow more than they want to grow themselves. But with them helping others, they grow too. So we have a wonderful, wonderful guest on the show today, Sidra. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast with us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my word. And you've come to Qatar. You're from Australia, Sydney?
Yes, I am. Sydney. I'm from Sydney, and I've come to Doha, and it's been wonderful.
Oh, okay. So introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Okay, so my name is Sidra, and I'm from Sydney, Australia. I'm a founder of Dignified Caring. It's a healthcare organisation that provides disability support for people living with disabilities. We focus on neurodegenerative, rare genetic disorders and spinal injuries. So those are the kind of disabilities that we provide support for. We also provide support for people with mental health. So that's in a nutshell, that's what we do. We have over about between 60 to 100 staff who are clinically trained and also qualified.
I find it staggering.
Yeah, and these are the wonderful human beings who go out there and provide this support of the highest standard.
You're such a delicate lady. And when I first met you, it was really good for me because we're going to get through your story.
Yeah.
Right? But where I laugh about how you've come such a long way through having hurdles that you've had to overcome.
Yeah.
What is it? Just let's go back a little bit and let's kind of tell a little bit, fill everybody in on your life.
Okay. Well, I was born in Karachi, Pakistan, and when I was born, the doctor noticed that I had low muscle tone, I wasn't reaching my milestones on time, and so they started to do some investigating, but because they didn't have enough resources or the tools to actually investigate further, they thought it was best for me to go out and seek treatment elsewhere. So my dad migrated to Australia.
So because of the treatment that you had to go through, your dad said, right, let's all take the family to Australia.
That's right. And I mean, I have him to thank for making that leap of faith, because he had to leave everything.
Everything
he knew, all the people he knew, his work, his family, and he just came out here with my mum and me, and then we saw some of the best surgeons, some of the best doctors, and so initially my doctor saw me because he noticed that I had a curve in my back, and he said, it looks like it's scoliosis. But then as he treated me further, he noticed the low muscle tone and me not walking on time and all of those milestones that I was taking time in reaching. And he said, you know what, this is something that needs to be further investigated. So I underwent genetic testing, and surely they found that I had a rare genetic syndrome named Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I had a rarer subtype, which is 𝗪𝗀 Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is why I had the scoliosis. So it was like a comorbidity that came with it. And then because there's not much literature around EDS, especially the type that I have, doctors were a little clueless as to, what to do and how to go about it. So there was a multidisciplinary team that came into action to look after me, and I started to undergo treatment, especially for the curve in my back.
You've had rods put in your back?
Yes, I have. So they're Harrington's rods. Back in the day, that what they used to call them, and now they put I think it's called rods that are made from titanium, so they're much more robust. But I had Harrington's rods put in my back. And and then I think my first operation when I was about 7, and then my last one was when I was about 9. Had to stunt my growth a bit as well, because they found that I was growing really fast, and that would not be good for my back. So I went through a lot. So I had to do a lot of homeschooling. Actually, not homeschooling, hospital schooling. They had a little hospital. I was treated in Royal North Shore Hospital out in Sydney's North Shore. And I had a doctor, his name was Professor Thomas Taylor. He's passed away now, but he was a angel in human form, and he treated me for the most part. And I had other geneticists as well, specialists looking after me. So yeah, they really turned my life around by the grace of God. And then I went to a mainstream school because, you know, some of the teachers were saying, that I might need to go to a special school, and my mum was really grieved by that. She did not like hearing that I would have to go to a special school and all of that. So, but you know, they said no, she can go to a normal school, she can go to a mainstream school, and off I went, and I did quite well. And
how did you have to deal with that? Was it walking was difficult? Those type of simple things that we take for granted sometimes.
Absolutely. So I had a body brace. And it was just like a whole brace that I had to wear, and it was actually very restricting. It wasn't really helping me. And so when I came to Sydney and they saw that, they were like, "Take that off. That's not good for her." And they just had a brace that was just half a brace. It was just covering the torso, right, the top torso, and that helped a lot. And then because it was such a long treatment time, you know, they had to rehabilitate me later, and I had to learn how to walk again and all of that. And so that took a while. That took around 3 years. And then I finally went to mainstream school at about the age of 10. So that was a very long journey for me as a child. And then being told that obviously it was a major surgery each time, you know, and when they did my first surgery, they were like, she's growing faster than what we had thought, so we're going to have to do another surgery on her. Then they had to do a spinal fusion on me again, just stunt my growth a little, and then I had to go back to hospital. Then I went back to rehab and all of that. But alhamdulillah, I'm much, you know, it rendered me, you know, it gave me the ability to walk and do things normally. So yes, I did, you know, go through a difficult, challenging time physically, but I came out as a winner on the other end. So,
and you see all these things that you went through. How has it helped you in your life now?
Well, it's given me a rare insight, I'm in a very rare position in my work, because I have seen how hospital care and high intensity or complex care is, and I've been on the other side. So I know what it feels like to receive that kind of care, and I know what it looks like when you're receiving good care. So that's the kind of thing that I really implemented in my own healthcare practice. And, you know, and by the grace of God, I'm doing okay. And it's a very big differentiator. And I have people coming to me and telling me all the time how Dignified Caring is a breath of fresh air when it comes to disability support. So yeah, I think my own lived experience has made me richer in that I am able to provide that high standard of care to other people now.
And when did you decide to take that step? What was it like, and how did that come about? How did it all start?
Okay, so I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, because since I was young, my dad he's a bit of an entrepreneur himself, and he was doing little things here and there and dibbling and dabbling in little entrepreneurial pursuits. And I was there by his side the entire time. He took me everywhere, did everything in front of me. So that really piqued my interest, even at that age, like just fresh out of hospital.
You sound like a little daddy's girl.
I am. I am. I love my dad. I think he's a hero for me. That's how it started. Well, I came across this opportunity. I was actually working in an accounting firm before that, because I did finance at uni. And I was really unfulfilled in my role. Didn't feel like I was really living up to my potential. And this opportunity came about through one of my dad's contacts, and he was like, I think you'd be great. You should look into this and maybe do it because of your own lived experience. And I think you can bring a unique twist to things. And I was like, okay, let me have a go. And so I didn't have enough money to start it. So I had to, I looked at my brother. My brother, I borrowed money from my brother, my dad, and I just went for it. And then I said Bismillah, and I started. It was really challenging in the beginning because I wasn't from healthcare. I had no previous experience in that. I had no existing networks, and nobody in the field that I really knew except my own doctors, right? But they only saw me when they needed to see me. So, and so I...
How did you build that credibility? Because you needed to be credible.
That's right. So I did a lot of work that was unpaid in the beginning. I did a lot of work that was unpaid that other healthcare providers weren't willing to do, because it wasn't paying them enough, or because the patient was too far, or some other problem. And I was taking those cases, and I really didn't care. So for me in the beginning, it really wasn't about money, even though I did need the money. But I was trying to build rapport with all stakeholders, so they knew who Dignified Caring was and who I was. So that's how I built our name and the organization's name. And then, surely.
Why and how did you choose that name, Dignified?
Dignified Caring. Well, I actually had. I was sitting in the car one day with my husband, and we were driving somewhere, and we saw a car pass by, and they had a funny name for a healthcare practice. And I thought, if I had one, it was so funny because at that time I was not even thinking of having or doing anything like this, right? And I said, if I had a healthcare practice, I'd call it Dignified Caring. And he goes, that's nice. That has a nice ring to it. And I said, yeah. And then a few months later, I was opening a company with that name. So that's how it came about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That must be such a wonderful story, because I love this story already.
Thank you.
Those are lovely stories to be able to look back on that journey, right? And then to kind of pick that name just like this to how you've grown this business. Tell us what it was like in the early days, and then tell us what you've got it to at this stage right now.
So in the early days, it was very challenging. It was tough. Like I said, I had no existing networks. I knew nobody. I had no credibility at that time. So I did a lot of work that some healthcare providers refused to do. And there's some really good people out there who saw that I was willing to go out there and make a difference and create that impact.
Why did they choose you? Why did they give you that belief? What was it that you were doing, do you think?
Well, when I would talk to them, after a conversation or two, they'd be like, you know what, we need more people like you in the industry who actually know what they're talking about. And how do you know all the intricacies of complex care? And I said, well, I've been on the other end and I've received complex care myself. And this is how I have this unique insight. And so, and then we would meet up for a coffee or two. They're like, we would really love to put a face to the name. And so I had some lovely humans who reached out to me and said, I know you've worked for us, but really want to meet you and see who you are. I said, okay. And that's really how I built my credibility and the name for the organization. And now I get people calling me themselves and saying, hey, we've got a referral and we want you to take it. And I'll be like, okay. So that's awesome, yeah. And it's just, I've come to a point where I no longer have to reach out to anyone. It's just a lot of people reaching out to me. In fact, we actually have a wait list now. So,
and going through it, I'm just trying to imagine, because I try to empathize, and I'm just trying to imagine what it's like to the doctor or surgeon coming into you and saying, you've got to have another operation. We've got to stunt your growth again. To those type of conversations. You're looking at your mum and dad and realizing that things aren't all right. There's some things, and maybe you're not getting told all of that. All of those things that you had to go through, to realize now it was just part of the journey, and it was stuff that you needed to learn to be able to be in a position where you are providing some support to others that is just unbelievable.
Oh, that's right. I think the scariest thing for some people is death and immobility, not being able to do things on their own terms because of being restricted physically. And I've been to that place mentally, even as a child, where, you know, I overheard conversations with big professors talking to my parents and saying, look, we don't know if she's going to make it from this. This is a rather, you know, a major surgery. She's going to lose a lot of blood, and there's always risks with any surgery. And so, you know, we need you to be able to sign papers and say, you know, look, if something goes down south, then, you know, you understand the risks. And so as a 6-7-year-old, I remember those conversations really clearly. And because I was a child, I don't think I got, like, I remember that it was very serious what I was hearing, but I wasn't scared. And I think as a child, you're very, very enthusiastic about things. So I was like, I'll be all right. And so God gave me that reassurance. Even when I was a child, I knew that I was going to be okay. So
we spoke about at the beginning where you say you've got 60 to 100 staff.
Yeah.
It must be a nice family, right?
It's a nice big family. I love all my staff. They're the backbone of our organization. And they understand, you know, whenever I'm interviewing them, whenever I meet them, I'm always telling them about my own story. So they understand who I am as a person and why I'm doing this, sort of give them an idea about why I do what I do, and how is it I would like them to carry that in their work, because they're representing me when they're out there on the field providing this care, providing this service. So, and alhamdulillah, all my staff, I would like to say, like me. So I'm so blessed, and I'm so honoured to be leading this team. They're a fantastic bunch of people, and they've got I've got nothing but nice things to say about them. So,
but you've got a corporation now.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that corporation that you've now built from those difficult times to the success times, and what you're managing to achieve right now.
Well, what I'm managing to achieve on a daily basis is just really providing support and care to the highest standards, so that the participants or the patients that we look after are able to actually live to see another day. Because a lot of these patients have neurodegenerative illnesses. So if someone's not going in there daily and providing this complex care to them, they can pass away. A lot of them are on breathing machines, or they're peg fed, through a tube. And so, a lot of we walk into situations where families are overwhelmed with sometimes a new diagnosis, or sometimes an old diagnosis where symptoms keep increasing and they can no longer look after their loved one. And so this is where we walk in and provide that care and that assurance that, and we give that relief to families. Like, hey, we're here, we know what we're doing. And so we've on a daily basis, we achieve a lot of positive outcomes for these patients.
I think that it's not just the caring that you provide; it's the support that you give to the families also.
Absolutely.
Because it must be very difficult. And again, listening to some of the things that you're doing must be difficult for those families to deal with, or understand how to deal with those situations more than anything else.
100%, especially if they're not aware of what the diagnosis entails. So if it's a new diagnosis or something they don't know about, it's sometimes it's just making them aware of what it is and how it might play out in the future. And sometimes, unfortunately, that does include them, passing away or going through palliative care. And so we're there for that. We're providing that support, and not just giving them the physical support through our staff, but also just helping them, giving them moral support, letting them know, and so letting them know what it might look like in the coming few days if the patient is regressing or their degenerative illness is progressing. And so, unfortunately, in this line of work, sometimes we have to go through, really tough situations where patients pass away.
Do you ever get to the stage where you have to pinch yourself on not just a daily basis, but I would be pinching myself to to think the work that you're doing on a daily basis with all those employees that you've got,
Yeah.
with the ripples that they're creating and
Yeah.
the help and support they're giving.
Yeah.
It must be it's such a rewarding place to be, to know that you've done it from your own experiences and you've created this stuff that the ripples are, they're waves right now.
100%. And I think that's where I love what I do, because I actually had one patient who has MS. And as you know, MS usually progresses until the patient passes away. And she came to us and she was palliative care. And her daughter was she was suffering with all these emotions, seeing her mum wither away so quickly and her mum losing her independence, and then this new diagnosis, not knowing what it includes. And then she was underweight. The patient was underweight as well. We came in, and within a year, she was palliative care, so they were expecting that she would pass away in a few days when we walked into the situation. But we took such good care of her, by the grace of God, that she's actually still with us 3 years on. And not only has she gained weight, but she has she started to, some of the speech that she lost, she has regained through a speech therapist that we had. And so her daughter is just so, every time she sees us, she's like, you guys just entered my life like angels. So when I hear these things and when I see that's the kind of difference I'm making with my team, that really fuels me and to keep doing what I'm doing.
It would be staggering for me to be able to kind of, it's overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
It would be, I'm even getting kind of a little bit emotional myself to think to what you've achieved and what your team has achieved, because it's the most darkest times that you're giving it a little bit of life, light. You're that light at the end of the tunnel in a very dark place. And to listen to that story, to think that sometimes people don't get that luxury of spending another 3 years because they think they're getting themselves ready, that it could be in days. I don't know what that means, but to be able to have that wonderful journey, those 3 years more, and see the improvements, it's just incredible. Where's your next steps? Because you're doing phenomenal in Australia.
Yes, I am.
Where's your growth going to take you?
So, we're rapidly expanding in Australia already. But I'm hoping that I can, I find that Doha, Qatar, is a place, it's actually like an exemplary place for when it comes to healthcare. We went to a recent summit in AI, and we were told how Qatar is taking the lead when it comes to predictive medicine or predictive health. And, I see perhaps maybe one day we can come and do, create the same impact here in Doha. I would love that. I'd love to see Qatar as a beacon in healthcare, especially because they've done so well within the last few years when it comes to health and healthcare, everything health related. So I'd really, really love a chance to collaborate or maybe do something here with someone in terms of, again, providing that hope and that inclusivity, because often people with disabilities, they feel left out. They feel like they can no longer be productive in society or make a difference, when really that's not the case. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean that, it's like a life sentence or something. You could still do a lot. And I mean, what I have, if I went by what the doctors had said, I really wouldn't be doing anything at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So it's just providing that hope and saying that, no, if God's put you here on this earth, it's for a purpose. And sometimes it's, this becomes your superpower. So I feel like what I have is my superpower. I feel like I was given it for a reason, and that's helped me to do what I do, and help so many people on a daily basis. And I just want to be able to do that worldwide if I can.
When you started this, did you ever think to yourself that you would get to this stage?
No, I never thought that. I never thought I'd be this big. No, I didn't actually even think about it that much because I was just so busy trying to make something out of what I had already. Like I just 1 patient, 2 patients, 3 patients. And I was just like so busy, was in this race, to make it happen because I knew that I had borrowed money to do this startup and that I had to give back that money. And I also knew that I wanted to do this for me because I have that lived experience and that I knew I had so much to offer. And I really wanted to just get there as soon as possible and make that happen. So I did not think that I would ever get that big. No, I didn't. But now that I am, I'm like, okay, cool. I want to be doing more of this.
With your mum and dad, what do they think about what you've achieved?
Well, my mum, when you talk to my mum about what I've achieved, she just starts to cry. And really she has no words. She's just so, it gets me emotional talking about it. But she thinks like any parent, if you've got a child and the child is born with significant health concerns and you don't even know what that looks like because the doctors are like, we don't really know what to tell you because we don't have much information on it, right? And then suddenly uplifting everything and then moving countries because to give that child the opportunity to be able to maybe to have a normal life, right? To receive that life-changing treatment. My mum just cries.
I dare you.
And my dad too. And my dad's not a big crier, so for him to cry makes me cry, so yeah.
Oh God, you are one special person. You are one special person.
Thank you.
Dear me. I just try to put words to it. Mm-hmm. There are none.
Yeah.
There are none. And I remember we sat in Harrods the other evening, mm-hmm. and I thought you were impressive then, but you are. I always say that every one of us is an angel.
Yeah.
It's just whether we believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I think I love the story that you've got, and did you and this is the thing, did you have to be tough in business? Did you have to be ruthless to get to where you were today?
Thank God, no, I didn't have to be, because I live my day to day, and my siblings know this as well. I'm known as a bit of a softie in my family, and my sister makes fun of me. She's like, oh, you can have everyone walk all over you because you're such a pushover, right? But I think that adds to my strength.
Of course, it adds to your organization, your corporation.
That's it, right? And especially my line of work, it doesn't make sense for me to be ruthless and I know it's a business at the end of the day, but business can be done nicely too. It can be done, people that are like soft-hearted like me, or that are known as softies, I just carry that in my organization and in my leadership. And I feel like it's like a strength that I have, because I feel like it makes me more approachable. And people have said that to me, that they feel like that they can come up to me and share things with me. Because at the end of the day, I think for our human experience, we all need love. We all need kindness. We all need connection. And you can't connect with someone who's going to be ruthless or uptight or doesn't want to borrow you, doesn't want to talk to you. And thank God so much that I'm just naturally very, I just love connecting with people and talking to them, having a good chat, whether I know them or not. I just love connecting with people, and I think that has really helped me in my business journey.
Yeah, because and people are going to think to yourself, why would you ask that type of question? And the thing with it is you've just got to be who you are, right? And I want people to realize it's okay that you're a softie.
Yeah.
Okay, because it doesn't matter, because you'll find a way. You'll always find a way.
100%. And I feel like, especially when you have the right intentions, God is always by your side, right? You have the right intentions and you take the action, and God will make the magic happen. So, that's exactly what happened with me.
So this week you've been in Qatar?
Yes.
What were you doing?
So I was attending a AI World Summit, and I was attending that because I wanted to see what kind of technologies there are, in AI for healthcare.
Do you think it's going to be groundbreaking for you?
I think it's going to be. I think AI itself will be groundbreaking. It is. We're seeing so many things.
But they're not going to do it. They're not going to take away the stuff that you do, right?
No, it's not. I don't think so. No,
Exactly.
No.
You're not going to take away that caring power.
No. Never. So I'm just trying to see if there is something that we can take back to Australia and try and incorporate it into our business, make things more efficient. That's what and I also attended a women's leadership summit. So it was headed by a great teacher of mine. She's a mentor as well. Her name is 𝗙cie𝗹𝗋𝘀𝘁. She used to be in Australia, and now she's moved to Qatar. And she is just, she is actually an inspiration to why I started my business as well. She had a business back in Australia, and it was all about self-development, holistic self-development. And it was one of the lectures that I attended that was absolutely life-changing for me, and that I just kept attending. And she's made such a difference in my life. And a lot of my success is owed to her. So
wow.
Yeah.
I've got to meet this lady.
You have to. She's amazing.
Yeah. And she lives in Qatar?
She lives in Qatar.
Oh my word, I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope you do.
That's impressive. Yeah.
So and she's the one who headed this summit, and she had about 50 to 60 different women from around the world who are doing absolutely groundbreaking things in their own spaces, in their own line of work, all in one room for 4 days. And we just had a blast. Like, just the amount of value in that one room and that one auditorium, and people just networking and
the energy
and just, people coming up to me, ladies coming up to me and saying, hey, how is it that we can help you? Or me going to someone else and saying, how is it that I can help you? It's just amazing. And I think this is what is important. This is what I love about being a businesswoman, is just going out and connecting with people and just seeing how I can help them, how they can help me, and I'm living my dream, really.
Yeah.
And I'm so
thankful. And you're going to help other people live their dream too, because you're an inspiration. Without a shadow of a doubt, you're an inspiration. You're an inspiration. With Qatar, and I want to talk a little bit about Qatar.
Yeah.
So you've enjoyed your trip?
I loved it. I love Qatar. Qatar is a beautiful place.
What was your favorite?
What was my favorite? There's so many things that are my favorite, really.
There are so many. There are so many. Did you go to Qatar?
Did I go to Qatar Village?
Yeah, see the amphitheater?
Yes, I did. I actually went there. I went to Qatar Village. I went to, there are a few other places that I went to. There was also Banana Island.
You went to Banana Island?
I'm staying in Valero, so it's kind of where I think it's in Lusail.
Lusail, yeah.
So there's nice places there as well, but the food is amazing here. There's not one place that I would say is my favorite. It's just everywhere you go in Doha, it's amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
And just the mosques here.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I went to Al-Mujadala. It's a women's only mosque.
Okay.
And it was one of the most serene places I've been to. I think it was 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝘀𝘁's project.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best places for women to go and just learn and unwind and just delve into Islamic history and the past and present leaders of the Muslim community, and just learning from them.
𝗙𝗪𝗪𝘀𝘁 is one special person.
She is.
Yeah.
And she has a wonderful story too.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
And what she's done is going to last for centuries. The education process here. So many things she's done, and it's unfair to me to put spotlight onto that education, but just in that area, she's incredible.
Yeah, she is. She's an inspiration, actually.
Oh, 100%. And the only question, there's a couple of questions that I want to ask you, is when are you moving to Qatar?
I want to move here tomorrow.
Yeah, you need to. You need to. But they would miss you. You'd have to have a kind of a shuttle going backwards and forwards to Australia on a monthly basis. It's a long travelling, but you'd have to do that. Yeah,
it is. I would look. Australia's home. Australia's familiar. Australia's beautiful. Really, it is. Australia will always be home, but I do want to move to Qatar because I see there's so many things that can be done in the healthcare space. And I really want to be able to add value, especially when it comes to disability support in Qatar.
The health here, the health sector, the industry, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
is growing, and it's going to be non-stop.
Yeah.
And I think that they've got the best facilities. And I've heard it, but it's not just me saying this. I've been lucky in the last, I would say, 2 months, meeting some of the biggest professors, the biggest consultants, hematology, and cancer research. And when they've come out, they've said that Qatar's got the best facilities they've ever seen. And some of them were, one guy was 74, and it's the best, he said it's the best I've ever seen. So there are some amazing things that are going to happen here that are already happening.
That's right.
But what there's going to be, the way Qatar is, it's going to be even more, because it's one of those pillars, right?
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing, and I can't wait to help you come here to come in. I'll give you all the support you need.
Thank you so much, Steve, and you've been such an inspiration too, by the way.
You're a fantastic person to say that. I'll pay you afterwards. But thank you. Look, it's humbling, but I've been humbled today, more than you know it. The one question that I ask everybody is, what would you tell your 15-year-old self if there was a message you had to give to yourself at 15? What would it be?
I would tell my 15-year-old self that everything is going to be okay, and that one day I will grow up to be someone who makes a positive impact on others, and not to be afraid to do what it is that I want to do. That's what I would tell my 15-year-old self, that just not to be afraid and just to do what I feel is right, especially when it comes to helping others and doing something that may seem scary, but really once you do it, you'll master it.
Sidra, you have been an absolute joy on the podcast for me today. You keep on doing those things. You keep on inspiring that team of yours to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and keep on doing that amazing work that you're doing for others. Because I just love everything about your story. And I've met your brother, and I've met that family. That I've just had a sample with you guys of that family thing, and I just love everything about you. And it's been a real honor for me to sit with you today.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you so much, Steve, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much indeed. And now listen to me, you guys. Okay, listen to me. Because if you don't think you can do something in this world, you're very much mistaken. At any stage in your life, all you've got to do is you've got to believe. You've got to have that desire. Okay, but once you've got those things, then people start adding to your journey. They start helping you along the way. And there shouldn't be anything that you can't believe that you can do. Okay, you've got to go out there and do it. Sidra, thank you again.
You're very, very welcome, Steve. Thank you.
Until next week. Thank you, Workington. I know that I keep on forgetting, but thank you for helping us with these podcasts. It means so much to us to be able to get these stories out there. So thank you, Workington. And thank you for listening, because without you, we would have nothing. Thank you so much indeed.
You're very welcome.